Hello everyone. Earlier on in the week, or last week depending on when you're doing this lesson, we looked at static electricity. Now that's natural electricity. It's just it's naturally occurring. Today we're going to look at the electricity that comes into our homes, okay? The electricity that we create ourselves, man-made electricity. Now we can't just magic up electricity. It has to be created. Okay, it has to be created, and actually you need energy to create electricity. Those of you who will carry on with your science a bit further on, and maybe do GCSE physics, will study the things like the laws of thermodynamics, and that will take it a bit further. Okay. So what we're going to look at today is the first thing we'll have a little look at is how we get the electricity to our homes. Now this way of working would probably work an awful lot better if I was a little bit better at drawing, but I'm not. So here we have our power plant. Okay, we have our power plant, and from here this power plant is creating electricity and is carrying those on wires. I remember we've got those wires on those massive pylons that we see everywhere, isn't it? They carry the electricity all over the country, and then those pylons, that electricity will go to a local substation. This will be relatively near your house, okay? Substation, you often see them. They're I think they're green, little boxes, with these. And they convert it again into more manageable electricity for our home, and then that goes into our home. Then when it's in our home, it actually is going all the way around our home. So it's going into your lounge, where you can plug in there to watch the TV. It goes up and around, so you can switch on your lights. It'll be going into the spare bedroom, again, where you can plug things in and play on your PlayStation. So the electricity is going all the way around your house, okay? Maybe that's powering your fridge, all the things you use it for, okay? And actually what happens to it then, it comes back the other way, okay? It actually comes back the other way. So the electricity goes to the power via the pylons to the substations to your house, and then actually it comes back the other way. So the purple is just the way it comes back. So it comes back there. Let's put it onto the other side of the pylon. I don't know what it does to go on the other side of the pylon. There, and comes back there, and then it goes all the way around again. They create more power, and then it goes all the way around again. So that electricity is constantly traveling from the power station to your house and then back again. Okay, so it's in a constant circuit, and we'll do more about circuits as we move through the subject. Okay, so that's our basic understanding of how we get electricity to our house from the power plant. It travels along pylons to a little substation, and then it goes round our house and all the way back to the power station, then back again. It does that very, very quickly, of course. Okay, it does that very quickly. Right, now these power stations, we create our power in different ways. Okay, now the most common in this country is powered by fossil fuels. Now fossil fuels are, of course, that's the leftovers from fossils, as you'd imagine. So millions and millions of years of trees falling down, of animals dying of leaves, and that gets crushed into concentrated carbon. So so fossil fuels are coal powered, and the main ones we have in this country, and oil powered. Coal and oil powered. Okay, now these burn. They burn the coal and they burn the oil in order to create the energy that run the generators, and those generators then produce the electricity. The second video I want you to watch today actually shows some really good examples of those generators. Okay, so take a look at that, and you'll understand a little bit more how it's generated. But coal and oil are burnt in order to create the power to make the electricity. Now coal and oil are very good in many ways, because they're a very consistent way of generating electricity. If you need a little bit more electricity, you can just burn a little bit more and you can create more electricity. They're very versatile like that. But the downside, of course, is when you burn coal and oil, you create carbon, don't you? You're burning carbon, so you're creating greenhouse gases, okay? So you're creating greenhouse gases, and these are bad for the environment, okay? And the big push now again is moving away from things like petrol powered cars to electric powered, which will reduce greenhouse gases, and moving away from coal and oil powered plants to clean fuel, okay? But still the vast majority of our electricity, the electricity is still coal and oil powered. So the majority, not the vast majority, is still coal and oil powered, okay? So that's one aspect of it, okay? So it's on the good side. It's very consistent. You know, you can sort of add more electricity quite easily, or reduce it quite easily. But the downside is the environment, isn't it? The environmental damage. Okay. Let's look at hydroelectric. And again, on the next video you're going to watch, there's a really good example about how hydroelectric works. It's usually where you can have it these days. They're talking about sort of tidal with waves and with tides coming in and out. Because if okay, but actually the most common is when they build it when there's a dam. Okay, so you have a big dam, and behind it you have a large lake. So you have a large lake, okay, and then the water, you can get the water coming down, and you can run turbines there, okay. So it's a really good example of that. So hydroelectric is where you're using water, the force of water, to spin a turbine and create electricity. Again, the positive side of this one is that you're not creating, it's clean energy, in that you're not burning anything. So it's quite positive with regards to that. It's clean, but the downside, it does have environmental factors. It can affect the environment, because if you think about it, you've got this. You can have this nice little, or very often you have a nice little valley, and they'll create a big dam, and that then kind of floods everything, and there are environmental negatives to it as well. Okay, plus it's very, you can get a reasonable amount of it can be, I think it's quite expensive as well, hydroelectric power, once you build the dam, etc. Okay, so it's hydroelectric. It's a really good part in the video about that. Then again, staying with the clean power you're not burning, and we certainly have seen in this country now, we're starting to see more and more wind powered, aren't we? Wind powered. I mean, I know any of you who've been down to, you can see it off the coast of sort of Thanet. If you go down to Margate on a clear day, you can see all those giant windmills out at sea, and very often, you'll travel throughout the country and you see these large wind turbines. So the positives with wind power again is that they well, first of all, how they work is obviously you're spinning around the wind is spinning around the wheel, okay, and that again is then turning a turbine, and you'll understand that a little bit more when you watch the other video. So within that, there's a turbine. You can then create wind powered electricity. The positives of this, of course, it's very clean, isn't it? Okay, the wind, you're not burning anything, you're just using the natural wind to generate power. The downside is, of course, it's not always windy. So when it's not windy, you're not actually creating any electricity. Okay, so that means, and with electricity, you constantly need electricity. You can't store huge amounts of electricity. You're just constantly creating, and it's going around in that circuit that I showed you from the power station to people's homes and back. Okay, so wind powered is very clean, but if it's not windy, you're not creating any electricity. And the same with solar power. Okay, solar power, they transfer the energy from the sun, into electricity, and it's really, sort of, again, around here locally, there's lots of new solar powered farms. a large one on the way sort of between Sandwich and Thanet. You see quite a few solar powered farms. And again, these are very good because once you've created the expense of building the solar panels, and the same with once you build the expense of the wind turbines, then the energy created is natural, isn't it? The energy created is natural. Therefore, it's clean energy. And again, all countries now are moving more and more towards these sort of powered electricity, because again, it reduces greenhouse gases and that have a negative effect on the environment. The downside on solar power, of course, again, is it's not always sunny. Okay, so it doesn't generate anything at night for a start, and obviously when it's a cloudy day, it doesn't generate as much as well. It does still generate some, I think, on a cloudy day. So there's the positives and negatives. The other one, and this is the work, when we're doing the work today, after you've done the main part of the work, okay, I'd like you then, if you get time, and again, it's an extension question, so it is optional, but certainly those of you who are really interested in science, I'd like you to have a go and do some research on nuclear power. Now, this is a really interesting one, nuclear power, because it has the benefits of it doesn't create greenhouse gases, okay, but it does have its dangers. It does have its dangers, nuclear power, and it's really quite interesting. I remember watching a program recently with Bill Gates, who's the founder of Microsoft, and who now sort of spends all his money on sort of charitable things and all that sort of stuff. And he's a big fan of nuclear power because him and his team have designed a new type of nuclear power station that's just much safer than the ones in the past, because the old nuclear power stations, they're very old now, they're sort of 50, 60 years old. The technology is that old. Okay, so that'll be quite an interesting one to do a little bit of research on, and to read a little bit about the benefits of nuclear power and whether it could be a way we find our power in the future. Right, okay, that's my part done. All I'd like us to do, please, is after you watch this video, click on the next one. It's really good, interesting. It's some really some good stuff on there, actually. Maybe make some notes on that, and then answer the questions, please. The questions, I think it's just looking at 3 different types of power, isn't it, of how we produce power, and then the extension question is about the nuclear power. Okay, so when you do that, when you do your work, can you make sure you put the short date and the learn objective in your book and answer those questions? All right, good luck with that. Okay, bye bye.